You're the one who everyone leans on. Is that you? You're the one who holds everything together, the one who makes it all work, the one people call when they're in crisis because they know you'll come through. You always do. But no one ever seems to notice when you're the one falling apart. Why? Because you hide it. You smile. You say, I'm fine. You show up even when you're barely holding it together. And then people can freely take you for granted. In this video, I'm talking about the trauma symptoms so many of us are still playing out, where we play the role of the strong one. And if this is you, you know very well there are upsides to this. If past trauma is going to run your life, it's better to be the one who still has a job, right? Who can survive a fire or a flood or a medical catastrophe and still stay on your feet. I know, I'm the strong one too. But I want to teach you how you might be sabotaging everything good in your life with a false idea of what strength is. Now, you've probably noticed that too. The exhaustion, the anger, the loneliness. Strength is good, but not all of the ways that you had to adapt to the chaos and hurt in your life are helping you. And I'm here to teach you the difference. If you're sick and tired of feeling alone and overburdened, you're going to want to hear this. Here's the paradox. The stronger you seem, the less anyone checks in. And the more responsible you are, the more invisible your pain becomes. You've trained everyone not to worry about you, and now they don't. It's not that they're bad people either. It's that they've believed what you've shown them. You don't look like you have problems. You don't look like you need help. You look like someone who has it all together. But inside, you're exhausted, you're numb, you're angry, and you're ashamed for feeling that way. You might even think, oh, I'm so lucky because other people have it so much worse. I shouldn't complain. But you know what? That's not strength. That's actually trauma talking. When you've been through childhood trauma, especially if your parents didn't protect you or they leaned on you emotionally, you learn to survive by becoming hyperfunctional. You got good at pretending everything is fine. You got good at fixing things, at solving problems, at managing other people's emotions. And at first it works. You get praised for being responsible and you get approval for being strong. But over time, this coping mechanism turns into a prison because when no one knows you're struggling, no one shows up. And when no one shows up, it confirms what trauma already taught you, that you're alone, that if you don't hold it together, everything is going to fall apart, that your needs are just, too much. So when my mom was dying of cancer a long time ago, I would visit home every month. She was the next state over. I'd do it if I could. And it was painful for me because my mom, ever since I was like 6 years old, or maybe when she divorced my dad when I was 7, she seemed like she stopped liking me. She stopped even knowing who I was. And this is going to sound like I'm exaggerating, but when I was in my 20s and she used to mail me anything, she started spelling my name wrong. She spelled Anna with 1 N, not 2. And she's the one who named me Anna. It was so weird. So after I'd finished college, and she didn't help pay for it or anything, but she couldn't remember ever what I majored in or what I was interested in doing with my life career-wise, or what job I had at any given time. So it was really strange the way she had a mental block on seeing me. And I think she might have been ashamed because she hadn't taken good care of me when I was younger, and she left me to take care of myself. So I also took care of my younger sibling, and we were both very neglected. We had an older sibling too, but by then they were a teenager, and they were able to handle things a little more than we could. So we were all very neglected, and we were all very affected by that. And my mom wouldn't say she loved me. She just wouldn't do it. And honestly, I'm not sure she did. I don't think she liked me. I think she found me to be uptight, like Lucy in Peanuts, the cartoon, or like Margaret in Dennis the Menace. And I might be dating myself here, but if you remember these, these were like these female characters who were always like ruining the fun, always just really bitchy and scoldy, and the uptight girl who's so annoyed that nobody seems to be carrying their weight around here. Nobody's taking responsibility, and she has to do everything. But, in my family, nobody did have it together except me. I think that might be true. And it was this giant, weight on me all the time. So when my mother had cancer, I really wanted a relationship with her. I had this vision that before she died, we'd be close again and we'd be able to talk plainly about what happened. And I could find out, like, why were you so distant? And, what happened in your life that made you, fall into such severe alcoholism. And I just always thought it was coming, and that she would one day sort of appreciate my strengths and that I was right there all along. And she'd see the person I'd become and be proud of me. And I really didn't care if I got the apology, that I thought she owed me one, but I didn't care if I ever got it. I wanted her to see me. So during one of my visits, I told her, just this little incidental story. Oh, I had a really hard time getting the time off work this month, because at that time I was taking a 4-day weekend, like every month. It was a lot of time off to ask for. But I told them I really needed to go be with my family. And she got this really weird look on her face. And I was like, what? And she said, oh, I don't know. I guess I just never thought of you as someone who has a family. And I think I sort of laughed, like, she doesn't mean it. But she did mean it. She did mean it. She had never thought of me as somebody who has a family. I had constructed, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm blaming myself too much, but what would prompt your own mother to not think of you as somebody who has a family? And I can only guess that I'd really succeeded in this kind of inner goal that I had to be so independent that no matter how much everybody else fell apart, I would persevere. I would be strong. And it made me be perceived by my own mother as somebody who, had no one. So, strange thing to say, but it haunted me because she, and to a large degree, the other members of my family back then, they didn't see me as a person. My older brother once told me in the same shocked way after my mother died, I said, I'm really sad. I'm already having a lot of problems in my life. And he got the weird look on his face. And then I said, what? And he said, it just never occurred to me that you have problems. And again, I was sort of like, oh, ha, 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 of course I have problems. But now, many years later, and he died like just a few months after that conversation, actually, he died from drugs. And I've had a lot of time to think about, like, what did they mean by all this? But the way that when they died, I was sad, but it changed nothing in my life. I just came to realize I had been alone for a long time. I had not been seen as somebody who needed support for a long time. And it would be a long time still until I learned how to be more open to people about needing connection, needing support sometimes, not trying to look like everything was perfect and like I had it all together. So I was really good at looking like I had it all together. That was very important to me when I was little. And in the end, it just guaranteed that I would be on my own to deal with my own problems and to celebrate good things that happen too. To this day, I can get like a little driven about things, and my husband and kids and friends don't really like that harsh edge in me where I'm acting very intense, worrying about like, we have to get to X deadline or X goal or everything's going to fall apart. I start worrying. Could be like, I don't know, you could call it anxiety, but I call it drivenness. Like, I have to make everything go. Yeah, that fear that you're going to lose everything, it's not a crazy thought. It's happened before in my life. But healing my trauma has softened that sharpness and pushiness in me. And this is one of the most common trauma patterns I see in my students. And I've lived it myself. When your value is based on being useful, and useful is good, but when it's all about that, you start to believe that needing anything makes you unlovable. When you need things, you're not useful. So instead of reaching out, you isolate. You stay quiet, you push yourself harder, and you burn out. And then you blame yourself for not being able to handle it all. So you might notice yourself doing little things, canceling plans because you're too tired, or avoiding hard conversations, skipping actual proper food meals and just having cereal or crackers or something, or ignoring messages from people who care about you. And on the surface, you're still functioning, you're still getting things done, but emotionally, you're shutting down, you're abandoning yourself. And the longer that goes on, the worse it can get. And there are a set of signs you can look for in yourself to detect if trauma from childhood might be affecting your response to stress right now. I have a quiz that lists all those signs that's what could be happening, and I'll put a link to that in the first line of the description section below. The description section, people often ask me, what do you mean? Right below every video, there's a big panel with like writing in it. It's things that I wrote in there. Every YouTuber does it. And there's 2 lines visible without having to click that little open button or link that makes the whole thing open, and you see many links. But the top line, it'll be that quiz, that list of signs that your past trauma is doing this to you now. So it's free. And this has really opened a lot of people's eyes to why certain things are harder for them than for other people. So here's what you need to know. This isn't who you are. It's how you adapted. And the fact that you adapted that way, it's not weakness. That's self-preservation. You found a way to survive in an environment that didn't meet your needs. But now you're an adult and you're allowed to outgrow those survival patterns, even if they feel familiar, even if they're the only thing that's ever worked for you. So what do you do when you're the strong one and secretly you're falling apart? Let's start with this. Don't wait until you collapse to get help. You don't need to hit rock bottom. You just need to notice what's actually happening. The anxiety, the fatigue, the resentment, the numbness. These aren't personal failures, they're signals. Your nervous system is exhausted and it wants to tell you you're running on empty. You've been in go mode for too long and your brain and your body are telling you it's time to stop. But stopping feels like dangerous, right? If you rest, something might fall apart. And this, again, it's not a crazy thought. I spent a lot of years poor. I spent a lot of years as a single mom. There was a certain reality to that, like, don't get off the treadmill. All right. But that might not be where you are right now. You probably have more wiggle room than you think. If you ask for help, though, you fear also that people will say no. And you think that's very humiliating when you're in this space of kind of like over-functioning. If you tell the truth, that fear, oh, they'll walk away, that fear that if you stop being the strong one, you'll lose everything, you'll have no role to play. It's the exact belief that keeps you trapped. So how do you get out of it? How do you start to shift without blowing up your life or betraying your responsibilities? Here are 3 steps that can help you break the pattern gently, honestly, without abandoning yourself. Okay, step 1, identify where you learned to suppress your needs. Think about the messages you got growing up. Who expected you to be the caretaker? Who punished you for being vulnerable? Who told you, directly or indirectly, that your feelings were inconvenient? And what was that like inside for you when you really thought you had let everybody down? Write that down. Don't write it down to blame yourself, but to understand yourself. Because when you see where that belief comes from, you can stop treating it like a fact. You can stop carrying it like it's your whole identity. It's not. It's something that was installed, and it can be uninstalled. All right, step 2, pick one thing that you usually do for other people, and then don't do it. This is not about being selfish. It's about recognizing how much of your life is built around over-functioning. Now, maybe it's always picking up the phone for that one friend who never reciprocates. Maybe it's staying up late to take care of chores that no one asked you to do. Maybe it's saying yes to plans when your body is like, I really, really don't want to do that. So whatever it is, just opt out. Just experiment with the decision to not do what you actually don't want to do, and then let the chips fall where they may. Feel the discomfort. That discomfort is the detox from a lifetime of people-pleasing. The 3rd step is let one person see the truth. You don't need to give a TED talk about everything inside your heart. You don't need to spill your guts. Just say something real like, When somebody says, "How are you?" you can say, well, I'm actually struggling right now. Or, I feel invisible. Or, I really need a break, but I don't know how to take one. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be a big, begging for attention. It's just true. It's just a true statement about how you feel. And the goal isn't to get any particular response. It's to practice being honest without apologizing or modifying, what you're saying at all for other people. No apologies. Just, this is how I feel. Now, if that makes you feel exposed, good. That means you're doing something different, something that leads to healing, because trauma trains us to believe that vulnerability is dangerous, that if we stop being useful, we'll be abandoned. But the truth is, people can't connect with you if they can't see you. And if you never let them see what's real, you'll stay trapped in the role of caretaker. You'll stay invisible and alone. So let's talk for a second about dysregulation, because that's the hidden engine behind a lot of this. When you're dysregulated in your nervous system, you can't think clearly. You can't read your body's signals very well. You can't hear it. You might feel scattered, panicked, frozen, irritable, or very numb, and you might zone out. Or you might get obsessed. That's a sign too. Or you might get really busy doing things that don't really matter just to avoid what you're actually feeling. And this is the nervous system in survival mode. And when you've been in survival mode for years or maybe decades, it starts to feel normal. But it's not. It's a trauma response. And it doesn't go away by pushing harder or trying to be more productive. It changes when you get re-regulated. You will get more done when you're more re-regulated. So you can set that aside and not worry too much. Re-regulated is the top priority. And that's why I teach the daily practice techniques. These are 2 techniques, very simple tools that I use, and I've taught to tens of maybe 1 million people over the years now, a lot of people. And these 2 techniques together can help calm your nervous system and get your mind clear. And it's not about fixing everything at once. It's about creating just a little space between you and the overwhelm, enough space that you can see what's really going on, enough space to choose something different. It's very freeing. And I teach those techniques for free. I'll put a link to that mini course where you can learn those techniques very quickly. That'll be down in the second line of the description section below, the daily practice. It's very calming, but it packs a lot of power to help you see what's possible. Because when you're dysregulated, everything feels impossible. Asking for help. No, too scary. Saying no, you might die. Resting, feels selfish. But once you're regulated, those same things feel doable. Not easy, but doable. And that's the difference. And once you start doing things differently, even a little bit, everything starts to change. You stop apologizing for having feelings. You stop trying to prove your worth through performance, through everything being fine, whatever other people decide. You stop pretending you're okay when you're not. And you start making decisions based on what's real and not what keeps you, in the good graces of other people in your mind. You start letting people care about you. You start noticing who sticks around when you're not solving their problems. You start building relationships where you don't have to perform. And that's when you realize being the strong one was never the actual problem. The problem was believing that strength meant disappearing, that it was silence that made you attractive, that strength meant you had to abandon yourself, that it meant isolate yourself. Now, real strength is knowing when it's time to stop pretending. Real strength is choosing connection over control. Real strength is telling the truth, even when your voice is shaky. You don't have to fall apart to start healing, You don't need a dramatic breakdown. You just need one honest moment, and then another, and then another. There's a beautiful humility and gentleness sometimes when we can just admit it. It's like, I need some help. I don't know what to do. The people who really care about you, they don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you to be invincible. They just want you. And the sooner you believe that, the sooner you get to stop carrying everything all by yourself. So here's your next step. One act of truth. One thing that you don't say yes to when you mean no. one moment where you recognize what you need instead of trying to fix everything for everyone else or prevent them from feeling disappointed in any way. This is how your healing starts. Not with a bang, usually not with a great flash of light, but with one choice to just stop pretending that everything's fine when it's not. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to earn love. You don't have to hold up the world to be worthy of participating with people. You've been strong long enough, and now it's time to be who you are, to be real. If you like this video, I've got one I think you'll really love right over here, and I'll see you very soon. You know you should declutter, but you have a lack of power to do it. Not doing it makes all the other problems in your life a little worse.